Welcome everyone to our returns and refunds webinar. I'm Kristen Hutcherson and I am the partnership manager with Ecom Engine. So today we have Lisa Kinsky, who's who's the marketing and partnership manager for Getida. And we have Will Abrams, who's the owner of Axiom Prep. And we have Ecom Engine's product director, Louis Mazel, here today. A few things before we get started. Make sure you stay tuned to the end of the webinar. We've got some great offers. I also wanted to just quickly introduce Ecom Engine. I'll just make sure everybody can see the slides. Here we go. And just wanted to quickly introduce Ecom Engine. We've been in business since 2007. Just to tell you a few bits about our tools. We have Seller Pulse, which is our newest tool. It's about a year old, and that tool offers insights and convenient reports and alerts, all to protect your profitability. We also have Feedback 5, which automates Amazon review and feedback requests. And then we have Restock Pro, which is our FBA management tool. So we've been hearing a lot about refunds and reimbursements, and we all know that Amazon returns can be a pain for a lot of sellers. So I'm going to turn it over to Lisa so she can get started and start to fill us in on the upcoming changes.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Kristen. So just a quick little background for anybody who isn't aware, Getida is the global leader in FBA auditing and reimbursements. Been around for about 9 years now. Entirely performance-based business. We'll get back to exactly how we work at the end of the episode. But right now, I'm so used to podcasting session at the end of the session. But right now, my job is to educate everyone who may not have heard yet about the reimbursement timeline changes. So on July 24th, Amazon made an announcement that kind of shook the industry a little bit, that the timeline with which sellers have to file for reimbursement on a couple of different claim types is changing. It is being made considerably shorter. So if you'll check out this column on the right here, starting October 23rd, they are changing manual claim windows for lost and damaged items to be 60 days, FBA customer returns to be between 60 and 120 days, and removal claims for 15 to 75 days. So these are claim types that sellers previously had 18 months to file claims for. So in short, if you're not currently filing your FBA reimbursement claims with Amazon, I would start today, because as of the webinar, August 20th, if you begin your audit, you can go back those 18 months and recoup any of those potentially lost funds for the last year and a half. Whereas starting October 23rd, all other sellers, all other service providers are only going to be able to go back those 60, 120, 75 days. So they're making it a more complex marketplace than before, right? Amazon also says that they're going to begin over here on the left, that they will be auto reimbursing sellers. It's interesting that they make this call out. It's something that Amazon has always done. I'm sure that many of our attendees have received an email from Amazon at one point or another just saying, hey, we sent you a reimbursement for this issue that we found. Like, they've been doing this on the back end for a while now. I think they're going to be a little bit more proactive on it as opposed to reactive. But what's really impactful for the sellers are these windows with which they have to file these reimbursement claims. So just a quick visual, if you'll go to the next slide, Kristen, you can see if you file today. Now, a clarification I do need to make: these changes are valid for the North American market, so US, Canada, and Mexico. If you are selling on the UK, EU, Australia, Japan, even Brazil, these timeline changes do not affect you right now, but generally we'll see whatever happens in the US follows elsewhere, right? So if you are currently filing for your FBA reimbursements, you will have 18 months for those lost or damaged units, customer returns, and removal orders. But after the 23rd, Kristen, if you go to the next slide, you will have considerably shorter timelines. And this isn't something that's new for us, right? We've seen these changes happen in Amazon's ecosystem before, but really my job here today is to be sure everybody's getting as much money back as possible while they still can. And I'm happy to answer any questions anybody has around that. But really, that is my big piece for today. I don't know if anybody has any questions or if we want to roll into Will's and we can kind of go, ping pong back and forth.
Yes, certainly add any questions that you may have in the chat if you'd like, in the questions and answers there too, because we certainly want it to be engaging. Anything about questions for Lisa? Okay. Well, I will move on to the next slide. Okay, Will, Axiom Prep.
Awesome. Thank you, Kristen. It's great to be here. Yeah, and so I think my role on this is just to talk a bit about returns and removals and how that can be a pretty strong pain point for a lot of sellers. A lot of this isn't news for anyone, but returns are a big issue for a lot of Amazon sellers. So, your return rate for e-commerce is just generally a lot higher than in brick and mortar stores. The NRF did a study saying it's as high as 17.8% average, meaning 17.8% of all e-commerce sales get returned. For most sellers that I talk to, that range is anywhere from 5% to 20% typically. I would say, and Amazon doesn't really provide this data, but it's typically around 10%. Certain categories like electronics or high fashion can get over 30%, which is pretty shocking. I was talking to they sell smartphones, a seller today who said that their return rate was 35%. So pretty shocking. But obviously returns, erode profits, erode margins, but there's also, the operational headache that accompanies returns. So a lot of sellers that we talk to, the second we get on the call, it's just, returns. It's just such an issue for people. So that's the major pain point. And outside of just returns is also stranded inventory. So, if you're selling FBA, there could be different reasons that you get stranded inventory. Let's say that you're selling perfume and you had the incorrect compliance sheets in Amazon and 300 of your units get stranded at an Amazon fulfillment center and they have to be removed out. So this unfulfillable and stranded inventory becomes a huge issue for sellers. And just on the back end as well with this inventory, there's a lot of reimbursement potential, like Lisa was talking about. Specifically with the stranded inventory, I think sellers experience a lot of damages that happen in transit. Going back to that perfume example, say that Amazon removed those 300 units out of Amazon. Well, by the time it shows up to your warehouse, maybe the UPS guy threw it out of the back of the truck and it got stepped on or whatever, and those units are no longer new. So there's just a lot of different cases that sellers' profits are being eroded by returns. And then lastly, return fraud is also a big issue that we hear from sellers. I think that same NRF study said that 13% of all returns are fraudulent. So that's a big issue. And I run a returns business, so we see some pretty crazy stuff and just anecdotally see a lot of cases of fraud. But a lot of times that can look like Amazon actually calls these switcheroos. So let's say you sold a brand new pair of Nike shoes and a customer purchases it and switches it out with a pair of flip-flops. Those are reimbursements that an Amazon seller is entitled to. But again, there's a lot of fraud that takes place. And Amazon has even cracked down on different groups that are intentionally trying to commit these frauds. So it's a big issue. But I would say more than anything else, the real issue is that there aren't any viable solutions to deal with these returns. And if we can go to the next slide, Kristen, I'll just touch on that a little bit. Awesome. So yeah, I'll just outline some of the different ways that sellers can try to recoup some money on these returns to try to deal with these returns. So first up is FBA Grade and Resell. So this is a program where Amazon will inspect your returns, and if it's used, they'll reintroduce it into your catalog and sell it as either used like new, used good. And so in theory, this sounds like a really great program. It's invite only, not everything is eligible. But again, in theory, this sounds like a really great problem. But Amazon has not figured out how to inspect and grade returns. I think I'm not overstepping by saying that. And I'll talk specifically for brand's sakes for a minute. this is a huge issue that we see. These items that are being graded and reintroduced into your inventory, the reviews and the sales from these products go on the exact same listing as your new products. So, you work really hard to make these listings look great. And because Amazon reintroduced a product that had no business being sold, the first review that someone sees is an image of, used socks or just something gross, and a customer being rightfully outraged because they were shipped something that's disgusting. This is something that we hear a lot about from our clients, and there was a recent issue that happened with the swim diaper company that I think a lot of people are familiar with. But a used diaper was reintroduced into someone's Amazon account, and that product was shipped out to a customer, and rightfully that customer was very upset when they received their package. So it's a big issue, and I think for brands that really prioritize brand image, this is not a program that I think a lot of sellers are happy with. So that's one. Another option is liquidation. So this is through Amazon's B stock. You can liquidate your inventory if it's eligible, and typically you're going to get anywhere from 1 to 5% of your sale price. So this can be a good option, but it's really pennies on the dollar. And then next up is Amazon's returnless program that they just rolled out, and this is fantastic, I have to say. I'm really glad that this is here, and I think sellers are very excited about this. This new program gives you the ability to opt out of returns for either your entire catalog or specific products that you sell. So you can tell Amazon, hey, I don't want returns for any of my inventory, which can be really good for a business that sells either low-priced inventory or inventory that is not able to be resold after it's been opened. So maybe a grocery seller or a supplement seller, something along those lines. That could be a really good option. But Amazon also allows you to segment this. So you can tell Amazon, hey, for anything that's under a $25 sale price, I don't want to get returns. And this is a great option. I think for most sellers that we talk to, their catalog kind of runs the gamut. They have certain products that are lower sale price and aren't worth trying to, deal with and reintroduce. But then they have some products that are worth really good money. So this is a really cool new program. You can segment by category, by return reason, and by price. So again, kudos to Amazon. This is fantastic. It's been a long time coming. And then lastly is in-house solutions. So, and I won't touch on this one too much, but this can become very challenging. Most sellers, they're retail companies, and they're also trying to operate as reverse logistics companies, and that can be very challenging. Managing employees, creating a software for this process, managing reintroduction, managing reboxing, it gets very complex. So again, I think this is a really large pain point for a lot of sellers, and it's case by case basis, just coming up with what makes the most sense for your inventory.
Great. There are two questions. I think the first one might be for Lisa, probably. They said that they're currently using Seller Board's recommendations for handling returns and refunds. Is this sufficient, or should I consider using a service like Getida? Additionally, with so many programs similar to Getida available, do they all use the same methods and reports? What are the key differences between those companies, or should we choose one at random?
Yeah, great question. Thank you, Hamza. So to address the first question, is a service like Seller Board sufficient? I will be totally transparent. I am not intimately familiar with Seller Board's service. What I can tell you is that with services like Getida specifically, we are hyper customizable. So if you're looking to use Getida in addition to Seller Board or in addition to your in-house team for reimbursements, we're able to accommodate that request. Our goal is to help sellers to maximize their FBA auditing and reimbursements. And our service, as one of the key differentiators that goes to your second question, is we are going after all reimbursement types that are available. So as far as reporting and methods, What Getida does is we are connecting directly into sellers' Seller Central accounts through an API integration. I know many other service providers do the same. We are having our technology do a full comprehensive audit of your account every single day. We start with the 18-month look back, again, at the date of the webinar, as well as a continuous audit moving forward to identify any discrepancies that may exist. And then automatically, once we find an issue, we kick it over to our claims team for filing on the seller's behalf. I know that there are some service providers on the market that will identify the issue and then say, hey, y'all should go after this, or they're only auditing 6 or 9 months back when 18 is available, or maybe they only go after the big 3, kind of the low-hanging fruit, as opposed to all reimbursement types. So I definitely say it's worth doing a little bit of research. It's certainly no harm in reaching out to various service providers and just having an introduction call and asking those qualifying questions of how far is your look back? How many claim types do you go after? Another key question is to ask if they are throttling the number of claims that they are filing on your behalf. This is especially important for sellers who have never filed for reimbursements before, and if you have considerable inventory. So a little bit of kind of general information, we find on average that sellers see 1 to 3% of their annual inventory that's impacted by a discrepancy that would warrant a reimbursement. So if you have a sizable business or you have a lot of products that are going in and out, that number can be pretty considerable. And if you're doing an 18-month look back, there are a lot of claims that could be filed. And it's within Amazon's terms of service that claims must be filed by a human being. They cannot be filed by a robot. So if you're doing an 18-month look back, you see there's a lot of potential recovery there. You want to get it as fast as possible. But if you file too many claims too quickly, Amazon's going to think you're a bot, and they will unfortunately shut down your account. So it's worth asking your service provider if they throttle the number of claims they file as well. I know this is something that Getida does. We are filing X number of claims maximum per claim type so that our sellers stay within good standing with Amazon. And that way we're still able to get those reimbursed within the timeline windows that exist. So Hamza, definitely happy to answer any other questions you have here, or I think we'll provide emails at the end. So I hope that was helpful.
Great. And then there's another question. I'm not sure who might want to be able to answer this. Eric does use Getida, but he sells candles under a brand name, and they've had customers actually use the candle completely and then return it. And then Amazon puts it back in stock and sells it to a new customer. So I don't know, Will, if you want to take that, or Lisa.
I'll let Will weigh in on this one specifically. That's absurd.
Yeah, no, it's very unfortunate. And we see a lot of that. Unfortunately, you can't opt out of, I mean, you can go returnless and not have those return back to Amazon. So that's an option to deal with that. And frankly, one I would recommend for brands, especially if, I'm not sure what price point these candles are, but that could be an option. But if you are getting returns on these products, even if you're not subscribed to a Grade and Resell, Amazon's going to inspect that product, and if they deem it new, they'll return it to your inventory. So I think best recourse is to go after Amazon and say this feedback needs to be removed. This is your fault.
Okay. And one more question before we get to Lewis. This is for Lisa. I'm currently with a different reimbursement service. I would be willing to switch. If it's cheaper, is it pretty easy to switch providers?
Yeah, it is super easy to switch providers. You can actually run 2 providers at the same time. I will say though, Sam, the cheapest option is not always the best option when you're talking about a reimbursement service provider. But we do have an introductory offer for sellers at the end of the webinar today. So like Kristen said, stay tuned. So we have something where you can test us out and see how we work either in addition to your current provider, or if you'd like to switch over entirely. Super, super easy process. It just takes about really a day and a half if you are responsive with emails. Part of that is Amazon building the API integration in the back end, and we're kind of at their mercy, but it only takes a day or 2. So happy to get you that sign up information at the end of the webinar, as well as the information on the introductory offer.
All right, great. Well, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and let Lewis take over.
All right, thank you, Kristen. All right, so today I'm excited to talk to you guys about the latest report in SellerPulse FBA returns analytics uh, to help you use returns data and insights to grow your profits. As Will said, Amazon does have kind of higher return rates. You all know that whether you're a small seller or a large established brand, dealing with returns with Amazon is just a fact of life. All sellers have to do that. And the bad part of that is that it really can eat into your profits, especially if you're not monitoring that and keeping your eye on your returns. But the flip side and the positive side is that Amazon does really provide a lot of good data around FBA returns. And if you know what to look for, and if you have the right tools to analyze that data, you can really get some good insights to help you improve your listings, improve your products, and kind of get some of that profit back. So we'll jump into the tool and talk a little bit about how SellerPulse helps you do that. All right, so just a real quick introduction to SellerPulse. As Kristen mentioned, it helps you get fast and easy insights to, oh boy, my VPN just failed on me, which is not ideal. I'm currently in our test instance, so I can use demo data and not real data. And of course, perfect timing for that to kind of fail on us. Sorry about that, guys. I should be back up.
These things happen.
Yeah. All right. I'm back. So yeah, SellerPulse gives you fast and easy insights to help grow your profits. We have a number of different product monitoring and alerts, and also analytics reports. And there's a number of analytics tools that are out there. A lot of analytics tools focus on optimizing your advertising, or kind of order analytics and finance analytics. And what SellerPulse really focuses on is operational analytics. So helping you manage your inventory, manage your FBA fees, your buy box and offer management. And then finally, what we're going to talk about today is managing returns. So I'll just kind of jump into the returns report. And so when you sign up and connect, all you have to do is just enable one alert, and we will load the last 90 days of your FBA returns data. And this is going to be updated every single day. So we just make it super easy for you to jump in and analyze your returns data. And I'll just kind of quickly orient you to what you're seeing here. On the dashboard, we show your returns over time, and we have a nice date filter. If you want to kind of zero in on maybe last 30 days or 7 days, you can pick a specific date range. We're showing you all of your returned products over the last 90 days sorted by the most returned, also the reason of the return. And then finally, we have a word cloud to show the most common words and phrases from the customer comments. So in addition to a reason, sometimes Amazon will give the buyers an opportunity to add a comment on why they made a return. So we just kind of bubble that up right to the surface for you. So I want to just kind of go through a few use cases and a few ways to get some quick actionable insights out of this data. The first thing that I would recommend doing is just looking at returns over time and making sure that there's no spikes. Like this right here that you're seeing about a week back, you definitely don't want to see any kind of spikes like that. And this is good to do periodically, once a week or once a month, And then also, you want to do this if you've made any significant changes. And this could be changes to your listing, your images, obviously any changes to the product itself, or maybe you switched suppliers, or something about the packaging or the FBA prep. Any changes like that, it's good to kind of circle back in your returns data and make sure that nothing is wrong and that nothing is spiking. And so this just kind of makes it easy to do that. And you can also, this is currently showing returns across your entire catalog. But if you want to drill down and look at the trend for a specific product, you can kind of click through and just go on down the line and make sure that everything is looking good across your top selling products. And you can see that as I'm clicking through and selecting these, then the word cloud and the top reasons are updating. So that's the first thing I would recommend, just kind of going through periodically checking your return trends. Another thing that I think is really important, especially when it comes to returns, is to always focus on your worst performing product. Always look at your ASIN that's being returned the most and that has the biggest issues. And if you're always kind of focused on fixing your worst performing products, then that's really going to help you on the profit side of things. There's those poor performing ASINs can really eat into your profits and eat into your bottom line. So if you're focusing on improving those, then that's definitely going to help your business. And so we just make that really easy by always sorting to show you the top returned products. And so, a really good thing to do is just look at that top return product, and immediately you'll see the reason. And so, this right here kind of tells you something that the biggest reason for this product is that the apparel is too large. And so maybe, you think about updating the listing description or the sizing chart to potentially accommodate for that. There's a number of different levers that you may have at your disposal, whether you own the brand and can change the product or update the listing. And obviously just kind of look through here and see if there's any opportunities for improvement as well. It looks like people are talking about that it's uncomfortable and there's, that it hurts. So that could be another thing to look at for that particular one. And then just kind of clicking through, this one is ordered the wrong item. So that's certainly something to look at, maybe try and understand what's going on, behind that one. So in addition to just kind of clicking through and making sure that you're focusing on your worst performing products, another important thing to do is to look at all of this data by reason. And obviously you want to think about the reasons that you can control and the reasons that, are going to be an issue for your business. So one that I think is always a good one is not as described. And the reason that, that's a good return reason to focus on is a lot of times you have immediate control for that one within changing the listing itself. So if you click on and filter for that particular reason, then all of a sudden you can see, all of the top returned products for that particular reason right there. And you can click through and even go further. If you hold shift, now you've selected both the reason and the product, and you can kind of drill down and try and understand exactly what's going on for that particular subset of returns. Let me just refresh the page here. It looks like I've had another VPN issue, guys. Sorry about that. All right. Yeah. So we're back up and running. So I want to do that that not as described again. So yeah, clicking on not as described and then holding shift to click on one of those top not as described. And then all of a sudden you see the word cloud changes and you see pictured is up there. So that immediately might clue you in to I need to update the image because something about this is misleading customers. A lot of them are returning it for that reason. And so this is a deodorant, and they're also talking about the smell. So maybe they expected a different fragrance for that one. So drilling through and looking at both products and reasons, and also a combination of that can really bubble up some good insights to improve either the listing or the product to try and get ahead of these returns. And then finally, we show your return data by disposition. So, if you want to kind of look at your returns according to the position that they're coming back in, maybe you want to look at your damaged products, see which ones are coming back in that condition, see if there's any trends there. Then you can also filter by disposition as well. And so one final use case I want to go through, the dashboard bubbles up the comments in this word cloud. But if you want to kind of drill down further and read into all the individual comments, we have another page, this dedicated just for that use case. And so there's a couple of things here that I would recommend doing. One is obviously, again, looking at your top return products. And so you can kind of go through, and if you really want to get past just the common phrases and read through those, that's obviously going to be helpful. And you can also select the specific reasons. And so another thing to do would be again, focusing on those reasons that you have control, not as described, defective, quality unacceptable, filter out or filter for all of those reasons, and then read through the comments there to really kind of focus in on those areas that you have control over. And if you have so many returns that kind of reading through them would be cumbersome, we make all of this data accessible to you to export. So something that can be really cool is select a certain product that you want to focus on improving the listing of, and then just click here to export the data. And we allow you to kind of choose the format. I recommend just dumping this out into Excel and exporting that. And so something cool that you can do there is go to something like a ChatGPT, for example, and they will let you just dump that export right into ChatGPT, and you can ask it to conduct a thorough analysis of those return reasons and recommend any opportunities for improvement. So I did that, and it spit this out pretty quickly. It gave a sentiment score by reason, kind of summarized the key findings, and also recommended opportunities for improvement. And your mileage may vary with using AI. I know it's kind of a controversial topic, but the one thing I found is that AI is, in things like ChatGPT, they're really excellent at summarizing data and kind of quickly giving you the key insights. So I definitely recommend, if you have a large amount of returns and a large amount of customer comments to sift through, just dump it in there and play around with it. It can actually do some really cool stuff. And so Seller Pulse just makes it really easy to kind of quickly get that data into a format that's easily accessible via ChatGPT. So yeah, so that's all I wanted to show you. Just wanted to kind of walk through this new report and just show how quick and easy it is to click through and immediately get some insights from Amazon's customer returns data.
Great. Any questions? I don't see any right now. Lewis, I'll take over and just share with everyone this and give everyone give our guests an opportunity to kind of give an overview of the company. Will, if you wanted to talk a little bit about Axiom Prep, your special offers that you're waiving the setup fee, do you want to give us an overview of what you do?
I'd love to. Yeah, so we had talked about just returns being a huge pain point for Amazon sellers. And so that's kind of how our business started. Is we're a profit recovery service for Amazon returns and removals. And so there's a couple different main points to that. The first one being, and I'll just keep it fairly high level here, but first one just being product reintroduction. So the best way to get money back on your returns is to ship it back into Amazon. And what that looks like for us is a lot of reboxing, relabeling, creating these shipments to get products back into Amazon for our clients. As a return happens, things get taken out of packaging gets ripped as it's opened, and it doesn't necessarily mean that these products are worthless, but it just means it can't be sold as new anymore. So that's a very important part of our operation. And for brands and private label, it tends to be, is this new? Can it go back in? For different wholesalers and arbitrage folks that we work with, there are some use cases where we can list used products on alternate marketplaces like eBay, or list products used FBM. So that's a very significant portion of our service. And then there's obviously the reimbursements. So we're filing specifically on damages that happened during the removal process or on return fraud. So that's an important part of our service. And then lastly, and this really ties in, I think, with what Lewis was mentioning, but data, that's a very important component of returns. And so we can track reclamation rates all the way down to the SKU level to tell you, for this specific product, here's how many were able to get reintroduced back in Amazon. Here's how many weren't, and you can do more analysis on your returns and how to optimize that. Because, let's say, for example, that we can track, on a specific backpack that, this specific zipper is broken half the time that it comes back. Maybe that's data that you can go back to your manufacturer and improve on. So yeah, in essence, it's a profit recovery service for Amazon returns and removals. And yeah, like you had mentioned, for anyone coming from Ecom Engine and from this webinar, we're happy to waive that initial setup fee, which really includes a custom software build out to track any data and any information that you want regarding your returns.
And someone had a question, Will, do you operate in Canada by any chance?
We do not. We are just located in the United States. Yep.
Okay. And let's see. Someone asked Lewis what prompt was used to generate the whole detailed analysis from ChatGPT.
Yeah, I can. Should I just dump that in the chat? Would that be a good place to share that?
I suppose so. The person's anonymous, so
yeah, I'll just drop it in.
Okay.
Well, I can read it out. I said, I'm an online retailer analyzing customer return data. I have a spreadsheet of customer returns data that includes 3 columns: the ASIN, the reason for the return, and the comments from the customer about the return. I will share this data with you. Please conduct a thorough analysis of the customer comments in order to reveal important insights for my business. Why are customers returning these products? What is their sentiment? What are specific opportunities for improving the product based on the returns data? But I'll also dump that in the chat so you don't have to
Okay. And then it will also be on the reporting then, since you mentioned that. Um, that would be good. Okay, good. Um, and another question, Will, you someone is asking if you operate as a prep center. I'm not sure. I don't think that you do. Do you? Or
No,
okay.
no, we're specifically focused on reverse logistics. So we don't do any forward prep in Amazon.
Okay. Okay, so that answers that question. Let's see here. And then would Axiom be able to help with FBA customer that orders, then returns all their items next month, then orders again and continues to do the same thing? They use the candles up and then they return a month later. I have a couple of these customers and Amazon keeps letting them purchase and doing it over and over again.
Yeah, it's unfortunate to hear that. So in terms of cutting them off from ordering, that's not something that we can help with. That would be a question to reach out to Amazon about. From what I understand, you can report certain customers. I know that people get creative with buying products and using them. So there might be different accounts and different IP addresses. Frankly, I'm not 100% sure on that. But that would be a question for Amazon.
Okay. Also, someone asked if Axiom services, how does Axiom compare to Backtrack?
So from what I understand, Backtrack's a service that does something similar to what we do. I can't speak to how similar, unfortunately. I'm just not familiar enough.
Okay. And then I guess somebody was asking if there's an overlap between Getida and Axiom, but I think that I don't know if there is an overlap, but you all could answer that, Lisa or Will.
Yeah, I mean, really what Will is doing is taking the physical inventory and helping you with the reverse logistics part of things. I do not want I would love to test all of your products, but I don't want all of your reverse logistics packages in my home, right? So what Getida is doing is helping specifically with the auditing and reimbursements, after the sale, whenever there's an issue in inventory, after it's shipped, once there's an issue in inventory, and Will is helping with all of the reverse logistics. So our services are one leading right into the other, if that helps explain, Brian.
Okay. All right. I don't see any other questions right now. Oh, maybe so. Let's see here. Okay, I think we're good. Anything else? So you see the special offers here. We are also offering $15 off your first month of any of our tools using the coupon code 15 off. And then we have Getida. Is there anything you'd like to add, Lisa, about Getida? You're offering the $400 off.
Yeah, for sure. So like I mentioned before, Getida is a performance-based business, meaning that we only get paid when you get paid. This is another key differentiator about our service from some of the other providers in the industry. We do not have like an inventory management service we're going to try to sell you, no PPC service, nothing like that. There's no membership fee, no sign-up fee, and no additional services we're going to try to sell you. So it's exclusively pay per recovery. We only get paid when you get paid. And the QR code, if you scan that, or if you visit getida.com/R&R webinar 2024 for returns and refunds, that will get you first $400 in FBA reimbursements free, meaning for the first 400 that we get you back from Amazon, you are not going to receive a bill from us. So this is what I was explaining before about a little bit of try before you buy. If you want to use up the 400 and then decide to discontinue service, you are more than welcome to. We find that, more often than not, that is not the case. Folks generally want to stay on with us and continue to get the maximum reimbursements back. But that's what that is. For the first 400, you will not receive an invoice from us for our services. And you can always check us out on our website, or you can email me directly with any questions. My email is lisa@getida.com. Pretty straightforward and simple.
Okay. And let's see. Someone's asking about estimated pricing for Axiom. Should they just contact you, Brian? Brian, it's from Brian. Should they contact you, Will?
Yeah, that would work. Just pricing structure wise, it's a per unit fee. So, but yeah, and some of that is unique to a customer's inventory. We're going to charge a different price to inspect a complex electronic than to inspect a shirt. So, but yeah, it is a per unit pricing structure. But yeah, reach out to us. We'd be happy to give you an estimate.
Lewis, anything on your end?
No, nothing else. This has been great. I always like the topic of returns.
Oh, great. Well, I appreciate everyone attending, and we will send out a recording in a bit, and you will have that. And thank you again.
Thanks, everyone.